Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Kelly. This is my first time doing a live stream on YouTube. Hope I'm going to do this okay, but you gotta remember this is the first time this is going live. You're gonna have to bear with me, okay? Now, um, I wanted to talk a little bit about some things which have been on my mind. And for those who don't know me, um, I've over the last I guess 5 years have written different essays and commentaries and other sorts every so often on a couple weblogs. Um, Something to say if anyone hears, which was the first version up until about last year, and then starting last year a new version, which was something to say that needs to be heard. You could find them on a blogspot search, on a Google search. I'll give you the links a little later on after this once this is all finalized. I'll have to edit out, of course, this, so bear with me. Now, I wanted to discuss a little bit about stuff that's been going on in our world and all the different matters that has been quite significant to us for the last year, 2 years or so. This is actually my first video I've been doing since 2016. It's been a while. Now, for some of you who know me, I I like to watch different movies that come out in theaters. Obviously, one of the movies I just got a chance to see, which was yesterday, was the new Marvel Studios from Captain Marvel. I know it's been getting a lot of positive attention, but a lot of negative attention among many of the Marvel comics mega fans. My opinion on it, in short, it's okay. There's really nothing wrong with it. Brie Larson's actually pretty good as Carol Danvers. Um, I liked how it was basically, in a way, like the first origins of the Avengers. And there was some good acting. I liked the visual effects in many respects. I liked the message regarding not taking crap from anyone, really, and rising up, especially if you're a female, if you've been oppressed or whatever. You know, when you fall down, get back up, become even stronger with no hands behind your back. It's really nice. There were some things I didn't really tend to like about the storyline. I'm gonna spoil a little bit for you. I had a little bit of a problem with the indication of Marvel being analogous with Dr. Wendy Lawson and being analogous with the Supreme Intelligence. So are they trying to say that Marvel, all of whom were played by Annette Bening, is evil? I hope not. But we'll probably have to see what happens next month with Avengers Endgame. And then 2 months after that with Dark Phoenix. We'll see what transpires. Anyway, I liked the idea of the idea that a person can always decide to get out of a rut and make something much more better. You know, if you're a victim of something, circumstance, abuse, whatnot, you can, well, I would say, take back control. you become the person that everybody else fears. I like that idea, and it's something I'd like to try to be able to live as part of a creed, I suppose. But I'm noticing that many don't feel that way nowadays. I'm not pleased with that. Um, and I think we are we live in a culture in which you're not being told. Let me put it this way: you are being told that if you're a victim, basically you got to stay the victim, and you'll benefit from being a victim. They don't. But they never want you to necessarily say, "Well, I'm going to take this victimhood and I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to move past it, or do something that can be construed as quite a bit different than other stuff that's happening." I'm noticing this trend, and I'm not liking it because, you see, look, if any, for those who know me, I think of myself as a man that with liberal tendencies. I vote Democrat. I actually been excited at this primary that's coming forth. Um, for those who know, I actually would like to see Hillary Clinton run one more time, but if not, I'd like to see Joe Biden. Don't hate me for it. Okay. So, and I like to think of myself as being woke, whatever that could mean. Being knowledgeable, understanding what the heck is going on in the world, and wanting to make a difference. What I can't understand is this notion of that we that I don't know that it's like we have this need to uh, perpetuate our victimhood for as much as you can. I don't like that, honestly. I'm gonna tell you why I don't really like that. It can backfire it, and in ways in which it doesn't benefit us. In the last 3 years since Donald Trump was elected to the presidency, quote unquote, I've seen I've seen people feel that a way you can go up against a lot of the Trump matters and the GOP policies and everything is by I don't know effectively becoming Puritans, like 21st century Puritans. But we never used to be that way. When I was growing up, my 36 years of life, I thought we had passed that sort of um, issue of Puritanism. I thought we really had passed it. I thought that we were able to say to ourselves, certain issues in the past happened. But we must move forward. Because if we don't move forward, we're only going to move backwards. And nobody really wanted to move backwards. Even up until about maybe 2 years ago, I had thought, I was hoping that the rest of the world had thought that we had gotten over this sort of thing of, well, you did this to me so many years ago, and I want retribution from it. But I will not do the retribution of my own self by whatever financial or sociological means. I will have you be shunned, and I will have you be ridiculed. I thought we went past that. I thought we had an understanding that, okay, many of these past issues, sexual matters for the most part, they're private. Does it affect you? Does it affect your job? Does it affect what you are doing in life? No, it doesn't. Well, then why are you so, you know, going so much for the need to actually say to people, well, I'm going to get a temper tantrum and have my way in this case. You know, you have a bad experience in life. We all do. Much of life is bad experiences. But you have to move forward at some point. That happened with me. That happened with a lot of others that I knew. There's some that I know, not not particularly well, but some I know that don't move forward from something. That's sad. So, how do I say this? What does this new culture that we are living in which victimhood is basically considered a right and a lifestyle, what does it say about us? What does that say about what we are going to be needing to do to make certain that this life that we live can advance? That when we grow older and hopefully life still can exist, what does that say about how we are going to be living a life that will not detract from the lives that are going to come after us? That there will be better, that they'll have better lives than we had. Because I'm not seeing this egalitarian ideal in this regard. I'm not. Sad to say. And one thing I notice in my life is that I have this ability to observe and understand and get the perspective of what's going on. Past experiences and past things that I may have watched, movies, news, what have you. It brings forth a code of ideas of how I'm supposed to live my life, of understanding what it is. I don't like the idea that, well, you have to change the idea because it not that it offends people, but it's the make everything go away so that we don't have to deal with this any longer. And what has been the big problem is that who has benefited from all of this? From all of this unintentional problems within the SJW community, within the woke community, within the new new Democrats, the new liberal-minded people, the millennial generation. I mean, okay, I'm born in '83. Technically, I'm considered a millennial, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm really that much of a millennial. Whatever. I never really put a label on me in terms of generations. It is what it is. I have a problem that I'm seeing that these sorts of acts and fits of emotion, these matters in which we have to be all newly puritanical and shun the bad man, I find it to be wrong. Because we are only regressing and we are only making a backlash much more pronounceable by those who are already, they already don't like what we have on the social, political, economic idea, and they'll just say to themselves, "Well, you know what? These SJWs, am I right?" And then they'll go out and vote for more Republicans and more legislation and more Trump-like people to such an extent that it harms every one of us. And that is something that people don't seem to get. People my age, people younger than me, they don't seem to understand this. Many do, but not everybody. Now, what has been helping this sort of, let's just stay the course with Trump and and across the pond, the people that wanted to leave, the EU, Brexit and all the other right-wing Vladimir Putin inspired leaders, the Sebastian Kurzes of the world, the Habsburgs of the world. Well, at least in the United States, what has been, I hate to say this, a boon for Trump and his people, has been sexual scandals. You would think, well, it shouldn't be. Donald Trump is a 3 times married person who has cheated on his current wife blatantly. And not really with people that are always attractive necessarily. So, excuse me, as I said, this is the first time. So why is it that he has been given, he and much of these other Republicans have been given carte blanche to do whatever they want in their sexual proclivities, their copious free time, whereas we have to suffer. And what we do is a heck of a lot lesser than anything else that they do in their times. It it's harmful. It's harmful to us. It's harmful to Democrats. It's harmful to independents. It's harmful to people that are conservatives and Republicans that don't like Donald Trump. And there's a lot of them that don't. Because it's turning on your own self. It's eating your own self. If you've ever watched, just to give you an example, if you ever watched any of the original Twilight Zone episodes when Rod Serling was alive, go watch the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Go watch it entirely, and you'll understand where I'm coming from if I can't necessarily pronounce it correctly. Now then, 2 years ago, much of 2017, a lot of the people that are against Donald Trump were united in the idea of getting rid of that man. Okay? We had things planned. We had things kind of given ahead of time. Right? People were saying, look, this is 2017, mind you. Well, we believe Hillary Clinton will run again in 2020. I was saying to people, Clinton will run, she'll win. Her VP pick will be Senator Al Franken. People were organizing. There were people in the political field, the arts, sports industries, business culture, things like that. They were understanding a mistake was made. A horrendous mistake was made on the part of the real owners of this country in deciding, well, we want Donald Trump and we don't want Hillary Clinton for president. Because remember, Clinton won the presidential election. But of course, you already knew that. But people were united. They understood what the deal was. They understood that the problems were only going to get a lot worse if there wasn't a chance to fight back and to resist and to do what was needed to get rid of this cancer of leadership. I can remember the Women's March the day after the inauguration. I didn't participate in it because I was actually in New York City that day doing something else. But I was pleased with how things turned out. It was amazing to see a lot of people coming together and with the understanding that, all right, mistake was made. We are going to correct this. We were united. Now I still think we are united, but the tactics and the damage along the way isn't helping matters. And I really think what happened was something that was with good intentions on our part. But in the last 2 years, it has cascaded into something which has been a huge problem. And of course, I refer to these distractions of sex. Let me point out to you something which I think is you probably don't want to know. I mean, you want to know, but you probably don't know. Who do you think was one of the main celebrities and film moguls that was helping to finance the Women's March movements? Yes. If you guessed Harvey Weinstein, CBE, you're right. He was one of them. Him and his brother Bob Weinstein, mostly Harvey, of course. That's it usually was. What were the plans that the Weinstein Company were doing for 2017? Yes, they were focusing a little more on their TV stuff, including Project Runway. But there were some planned stuff going on. Some that has been completed and has been seen, like that Waco miniseries that was on the Paramount Network, which was actually pretty good. Fahrenheit 11/9, which Michael Moore later took from the ownership of the Weinstein Company and updated it for much of 2018. There was also The Upside. That's a decent movie. They kind of updated it to include a lot more Aretha Franklin stuff, after she died. But there were other things that were completed or planned. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. I hope this works again. Oh boy. there were, if you're just joining us, I was talking about what the plans were for the Weinstein Company in 2017. There were plans to show a movie named The Current War, which I still haven't seen. It did premiere at Toronto International Film Festival that September in 2017. Some liked it, some didn't. But it did mention not only George Westinghouse and Thomas Edison in their somewhat fictionalized matters, but also Nikola Tesla. That's a subject and a person that people don't really necessarily understand nowadays. There was plans to collaborate with Oliver Stone for a miniseries or a new TV series on Guantanamo Bay. There were plans. It never really went into fruition, but there were plans for the Weinstein Company to collaborate with Steven Spielberg for a movie that was going to be by the name of The Killing of Edgar Montoya. It was going to star Sir Mark Rylance. Ideological differences between Weinstein and Spielberg kind of just put it onto the back burner. It never really went anywhere outside of a couple of meetings of some sort. But what I'm getting at is that there were plans, including a more immediate plan to have Fahrenheit 11.9 be issued out later in 2017, that would have, well, I would say, and also with Frozen River having come out that September, it was going to, I would say, have with the movies and TV plans start a conversation regarding the political world, the matters regarding domestic terrorism, matters regarding what we do to our inmates, the matters regarding gun control, among other stuff. There may have also been some sort of business processes as well for the Weinsteins, in which I don't know if the Weinstein Company was looking to get sold to, say, Disney. I heard a rumor about it. I don't know. But I'm just giving one example. Because of the plan, there were plans to actually go after and use art to go after Donald Trump and his people. There were plans for that. Concrete plans that would have succeeded. But what happened? Well, after many years in which Weinstein's peccadilles, his harassment of female celebrities and other females became far too much, Ronan Farrow, in an article with the New Yorker, went and described Harvey Weinstein's situations. Jane Mayer and I think one other person from the New York Times did the same thing. The New York Times article was the first to come out. That had Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan officially state that they hadn't stated in the past, but state on the record, yeah, they had gotten harassed by Harvey Weinstein. I remember reading that article. I remember reading the New Yorker article, and obviously I felt bad. I felt like, I understood Weinstein was a man of his means. But I was thinking to myself, and rightly so, the guy, he did this to Ashley Judd, he did this to Rose McGowan. It's one of the reasons why we don't really get it. It's been kind of hard to do stuff, to see them in movies. And it wasn't just them. It was done to Mira Sorvino, Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, Cate Blanchett, Lupita Nyong'o, Angie Everhart, Sean Young, I think Jennifer Lawrence, I guess. I don't know. Sarah Polley, Cara Delevingne, so many other women. it'll come to me. And I thought to myself, well, this is just plain wrong. Asia Argento as well. I go, what was that other one that was on? I forgot her name. But I felt it was wrong, and it was something that needed to be done. At least the thought was it was something that needed to be done at the time, as a way of saying the Hollywood community and the entertainment industry saying it's in their way for this political malfeasance, what have you, saying, hey, look, we punish our own people. And Weinstein, kind of made some enemies along the way. I don't know if there was some sort of a thing between the Weinstein Company and the Walt Disney Company that if Weinstein was involved, it would have jeopardized Disney's purchasing of 21st Century Fox. And I don't really know. It's all speculative. I know that there had been about, at the time, close to 19, maybe 20 years, maybe a little more, in which there was numerous factions that never really forgave Harvey Weinstein for his aggressive media campaign to have Shakespeare in Love win Best Picture. And consequently, him winning an Oscar because he actually produced the movie, or was one of the producers. Now, we'll go to that at a later time. Suffice to say, I actually thought Saving Private Ryan would have won Best Picture because it won. Steven Spielberg won Best Director. They're both good movies, though. Anyway, there was a lot of problems over that. There was a lot. And so with all of that, yes, it felt at the time, you got to get Harvey Weinstein out of the way for this. Get him charged with solicitation. I mean, there's a video of him doing these solicitations. There's audio of him masturbating. It's skeevy. Now, it seemed reasonable at the time to do such a thing. And I initially thought that's probably how much, as best as they're going to take it. Not that everybody hated Weinstein, but the optics just weren't good at the time. It wasn't good to see Lisa Bloom, and by extension Gloria Allred, kind of defend the guy. For one thing, it wasn't good to see Donna Karen kind of say, well, saying in many respects, well, the women did it to themselves. It just didn't seem right. And I initially thought they're going to go after Harvey Weinstein, understandably so. They may go after one or two other people. Ben Affleck, possibly. I thought really with much of the rest of October 2017, where they went after people like James Toback or what have you, even guys like Andy Dick and Chris Savino, that I was like, okay, we're just going to go after a few of these people, these clear harassers. And then it cascaded to such an extent that for about a good year, it became really devastating. And I always wondered, even with the Weinstein revelations, who benefited from it? I even wrote something on Facebook, which I later took down. And I said, well, who benefits? I felt that it was Donald Trump and his people that benefited from this, because it would later become liberals, entertainment people, Democrats, among others, that were basically accusing each other of wrongdoing. Whenever you used to do that, they'd always say to themselves, hey, what you do is up to you. It's not going to make a difference with me. We got to move forward. Now, I didn't like what was done afterwards. which, you know, everybody just was like, I accused you of sexual misconduct, and you are banished from life. I didn't like that. I feel at a certain point, sometime last year, I felt that they kind of understood that that they went a little far, if not very far. And in place of eventual backlash, which you've started to see nowadays, with Sir Kevin Spacey, basically getting back in the public spotlight, Bryan Singer taking his credit, among others, for the success of Bohemian Rhapsody. John Lasseter now running the Skydance animation department after getting dismissed from Disney and Pixar. Of course, I haven't done it to everybody, but eventually they're going to need to. I think they felt that because it was a little bit far to do. What do we do next? Who should be the boogeyman? Naturally, the boogeyman turns out to be, well, at least they want the public to, for the last year or so, have it be. So the way I say it is they made African American males the face of the Time's Up and Me Too movement that you need to go against. It is something I don't like because it's not only racist, it's also sexist. It's also it also uses ideas that really about African Americans, about black people, about minorities that go back to the old discredited phrenology ideas. And a lot of times, these black people will be getting accused or getting found, getting in trouble with the law, and they didn't even do the shit that people were saying that they did. I mean, let's be honest. Do you honestly think that Dr. William H. Cosby Jr., EDD, Bill Cosby, do you think he did all that he is accused of? I don't. And I can tell you about it because the first accusation, well, he did this to me, came at the time frame around 1965. Just before I Spy. Now, if that came into being, now, if that were known then, he wasn't powerful by that point. He was, 27, 28? A budding comic about to star in a drama series? You were caught then during a time in which Lenny Bruce was doing stuff which was quite extraordinary and quite profane at the time. He wouldn't have had a remainder of a career. If the accusation were any true of 1965, his career would have been done by 1965. So when I look at that, at a time in which more people were a lot more racist than they are today, well, it means to me that a lot of the accusations are not true. So he had an affinity. He was a kind of affinity for a ladies' man. Things that we're not always going to know about a person such as him, such as Dr. Cosby, or his family, what have you. And the mindset is, you know what? If you're never gonna know about what people think are normal, what have you, you just gotta let it go. but they don't let it go in, at least for at least when it comes to black people. So in this new excuse me, new movement of we're going to retry everything and re-lynch everything that we need to. He gets last April found guilty on hearsay, on testimony that doesn't even make sense to me. On what was basically a mostly political and sociology-oriented move, and at a time in which it's not the best thing for him to be in. I'll talk a little bit more about this at a later time, in my opinion. But if you know the story, if you know what guy's been through, you'd be speaking good for tune about this. You'd be understanding where his supporters are coming from. Mind you, I've had some disagreements with Dr. Cosby over the years. But the facts, or the lack of facts in these cases, can't be ignored. I don't think he did a lot of this stuff. I don't. Then they started to go after other people. They started to go after Jamie Foxx, Todd Bridges, Russell Simmons. They were about to charge Russell Simmons, I think in the Southern District of New York, and he fled the country. I think he's in Indonesia right now, in exile. He still has a Facebook and Instagram and Twitter feed, but I think he took the smartest way out in this case. They're about to go after, over the last couple of years, a lot of sports figures. They went after some past retired NFL players like Donovan McNabb and Marshall Faulk. They went after, just recently, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. All with the ideas of, well, they're black people, and they need to be taught a lesson. And a lot of times, the people that you are racially projecting your problems to, they're not even the ones that are doing this shit. By no means. Now, it's come to a bigger head this year, to which there's going to be some damage nobody's ever going to be walking away from. 10 years ago, when Michael Jackson passed away, I thought, okay, the matter is now over. He's dead. The detractors of Michael Jackson, basically killed him. I never believed any of the accusations, okay? I understood he was basically a childlike man. He wanted to make things better for everybody. Totally misunderstood. People never really understood him. They still don't. But I figured, okay. In the latter years, after getting acquitted in a court of law, exonerated, really, and after he passed away 10 years ago, people were like, okay, well, we're going to let this thing go. We shouldn't have even done it in the first place. To the credit, a lot of people that were hog-tied against Michael Jackson back then, they're not that way right now. They'll say, you know what, we were then, but he's been dead. Let things be. So when I heard that there was going to be, and there is, an HBO Channel 4 collaborative 2-part, 4-hour documentary, quote unquote, from a man by the name of Dan Reed, someone that has, I guess, a fetish in terms of doing documentaries on sexual proclivities, and mentioning two individuals whom I knew about, Wade Robson, Jimmy Sapechuk, to which their testimonies, their statements are entirely contradictory. They make little sense whatsoever. And even if it happens, so what? In the end, really. Because it's not your life, it's not my life. When I heard that was happening and it was taking the place in terms of the Sundance Festival and other film festivals premiere of this one documentary regarding Harvey Weinstein, I thought to myself, they're going after Michael Jackson again, and they really shouldn't. Do they want to just rebury him and crucify him when he's already dead? That's absurd. Well, apparently, now I haven't seen Leaving Neverland. I've been busy with other stuff. But apparently, it's now de rigueur to go against Michael Jackson again. Only this time, you feel there's no repercussions because he's dead. And, not only that, you got Oprah Winfrey, whom I like, trying to appease her white audience, her white benefactors, and let's be honest, a lot of it is a lot of her success. A lot of the people that actually gave Oprah Winfrey, the opportunities that she was expounded to, that she expanded to in her life, or white individuals. Let's be honest, and let's also be honest that she's always felt more of a kinship with that than fellow African Americans. It's just is what it is, okay? But then then there's the audacity to have her be told, okay, well, why don't you get involved with this thing? You'll be able to get some more positive points after losing, I guess, $50 million on Weight Watchers stock. Get some money off of that. Now, I didn't see that thing either, with the Oprah Winfrey interview. But I don't like what is going on with this thing. Michael Jackson was effectively Me Too'd before it was even a verb. And now he's being posthumously Me Too'd. Well, the man can't even defend himself when he's dead. Whatever happened, does it matter now? Did it ever matter? I don't think it did. Now, it's astounding me to hear things like, the producers of The Simpsons, James L. Brooks and Matt Groening, are wanting to take the episode Stark Raving Dad out of circulation because that's the one that had a Michael Jackson cameo. The radio station is pulling him off the playlists. People wanting to take statues down of him. Why? Again, the man died 10 years ago. And even 10 years ago, but just before he died, people were saying, maybe we were wrong regarding the guy. I remember a lot of people were, the early parts of 2009 when he was announcing his This Is It tour and his engagements of shows at the O2 Arena. People were like, "Yeah, we really would like to see this." You know, there was talk of a lot. If he hadn't died, there was a lot more talk of doing more things to kind of say to Michael Jackson, "Look, yeah, you're good." I mean, there always was, but who knows? Maybe he would have in his life would have gotten a Kennedy Center on. I don't know. But I've always felt that if you had died, if it's over, if then it belongs to the history books. It belongs to past matters. Let things go. And now you're not letting it go. I mean, it's interesting. In the immediate aftermath, in the immediate matters of the Me Too and times of movements, people were starting to accuse Patrick Swayze, who's also been dead for the last 10 years ago, of harassment. People, just after David Cassidy died, started to accuse him of harassment. But there was a sense of saying, wait a minute, these guys are dead. Let it go. There was the stuff that was going on last year with XXXTentacion. It stopped after he died. And people were beginning to understand, yeah, he was trying to change his life. People were going after Stan Lee just before he died. Until it became obvious that he was not going to live as long of a life as possible. And rightly so, people said after he died, look, Stan Lee was a great guy. In fact, when I saw Captain Marvel last night, the Marvel Studios logo, they had like a tribute to Stan Lee, and I thought it was really excellent. It was one of 2 points of that movie that the audience applauded. That and then towards the end. But I'll talk about that later. Matter. I didn't. So why you want to go after Michael Jackson again? And for another point, why are you trying to go after R. Kelly now? We all know R. Kelly did the shit that he did. But why now? Why not then? See, the problem that I have with a lot of this is people complain about these issues of the now as the years go on, what have you. And I guess when was it Sean James said something about how when people, men, women, whomever, hit the metaphorical wall and need access to resources to keep things going. Now, but it's always the point of, well, we're going to talk about it now. We're going to make things to a situation now that is a problem. But it's never at the time when it's happening, when it is crucial to change situations. That is something many people don't understand. It reminds me of a line, one of the last lines in the movie 3 Days of the Condor, when Robert Redford's talking with Cliff Robertson and their characters, and Cliff Robertson's character is saying, well, today it's oil, but who knows if the people need plutonium or some other things in the future. What are they going to do when the money runs out? Well, Robert Redford says, well, ask him. He says, well, not now. Then. Ask people when they're running out. Ask them when people that have never known hunger start going hungry. You know what? They won't ask what is happening. They just want us to get it for them. The point in time, what I'm saying is that at the point in time when these incidences are occurring, you have to wonder, okay, what was the child thinking? What were these people that are now accusing everyone of sexual misconduct thinking? What was going on? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think a lot of these child molestation matters. Well, I would never do that shit because I'm not that type of person. I'm not that. But I have to wonder if a lot of the times that these things occur, if the kids that's being done to, if they're thinking on a psychological level, you know what, better this than being at my home with, who knows, maybe your conservative type parents, who are abusing you, that are just, they always say they're not abusing you, but they are abusing you. You never realize, you never asked a child, what was the thought at the time? Were you wanting to go into an act of rebellion? Were you wanting to say to your parents, look, I don't like your abuse, but if I'm going to be abused, I'd rather have someone abuse me who knows, or who's going to tell me I'm abused. It's a bizarre situation. I know it's bizarre for me to even talk about it. But it's been on my mind. Admittedly, it's been that sort of question, that quandary, it's been on my mind after a long time, since I was, 13, and I was reading up on the Polly Klaas murder. Richard Allen Davies saying in his sentencing hearing, I know that the daughter said, don't do me like my dad. It's something that I wonder about. The truth of the matter is that a lot of these current movements that are ongoing about, well, you got to protect the child, and it's from whatever, left matters, but mostly it turns out to be from right-wing matters, like the Q movement or what have you. I gotta ask them this one pertinent question, and it's the same thing like I ask when people talk about being pro-life. When people talk about being pro-life and saying, well, abortion should be, it's wrong, I usually ask them, okay, you're gonna raise a kid? You're gonna give a crap about the child once he is born? Oh, you're not? Wow. And why should he be born? I asked it about to a couple of people, or as strangers over the years, and they're going to get an answer because I guess I took the Socratic method and said to them, "Hey, look, you actually give a shit?" So I feel the same thing regarding, in many respects, the matters of child of child sexual abuse, and this need for, well, we got to protect the children from, the pedophiles in Hollywood and what have you. And I say to them, so protecting from them while you are doing the same thing to them in the confines of your home, which is a lot more restrictive. And more importantly, you think maybe this thing kind of reveals to them, hey, look, nothing is all concrete. I may be thinking differently than what you are. You never think about that. And I'll tell you something. In recent years, I saw two films that were directed and co-written by Joel Edgerton. He also starred in them. The Gift and Boy Erased. These are great movies. They don't get a lot of attention because the truth of the matter is that these movies kind of question victimhood culture. They kind of it makes things nuanced. It says, okay, you could be a victim of what have you. How do you approach it in the future? Now, I'm not going to go into spoilers of those movies, although I will say that Boy Erased was based on true life events, and it's pretty interesting nonetheless. But these films, they make you think. They actually make you think about victimhood. They make you think about, okay, such as what happens in one incident with the one kid getting sexually abused by another person on a homosexual matter, and the realization that he's both he and the person that did it to him were gay men. You know, it's also in his matter of basically taking back the abuse and saying, look, I'm a gay man. I'm my own man. See, people don't. Victimhood and the mindset of, well, we got to protect the victims or what have you, and do this other stuff. They never really understand the consequences that are going to come around, in which who will stand to benefit. Because I'll tell you this right now, all that's been going on in the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, which I support theoretically, but the results have not been that good. I mean, in terms of impact, you're getting people that are thinking to themselves, well, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump right now anyway because the liberals are bizarre nowadays. You're getting people that are noticing, and wait a minute, there's a drain that's going on in Hollywood right now. And sure, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's happening. You know, the by the end of this month, the final closing of the Disney Fox deal, that would be awesome, really. But there's all this stuff that just is a void. There's a void, and it's interesting. In the last week or so, Steven Spielberg has been talking about this. Well, him, Jeffrey Katzenberg has been another one. They've been talking about, Spielberg in particular, he's been talking about Netflix. Now, this might be sort of a kind of a personal gloating matter. After Green Book won Best Picture, it was a good movie, mind you. I didn't think it was Best Picture material, but it was a good movie. I liked it. I thought Roma should have won, because Alfonso Cuarón won Best Director. I really thought Black Klansman should have won Best Picture and Best Director, if we're going to be honest. I thought it was the best movie of 2018. Having said that, Spielberg did not produce Green Book, but DreamWorks, Participant Media, and partners, they were involved with the financing. Understandably so, he feels that there should be a window of at least 4 weeks of a theatrical window before streaming onto a service like Netflix or some sort, if you want to classify what you're doing as a movie. I get it. But the problem now that's happened is his Reasonable Matters, which Katzenberg just recently said in a South by Southwest conference interview, clarified saying what he doesn't want to get rid of Netflix. Just wants to have things be more clarified when something is Netflix or Amazon or what have you. But if you look at Twitter, the influences of Twitter and the social media, they are going against Spielberg. Now, sadly, this has been something that has been ongoing in bits and pieces for over a decade now, maybe a little more. I think it started with the results of Indiana Jones and the King of the Crystal Skull. Not too many. I liked that movie, but not too many people liked it. They particularly thought, well, nuking the fridge is the new jumping the shark. Whatever. This newer generation and a lot of individuals that are, women, minorities, things like that, they feel that people like Spielberg really feel like Steven Spielberg has not gotten with the times. Truth of the matter is he has. His movies are still pretty excellent. I thought Ready Player One was one of the better movies of 2018. But they don't really but here's the thing. A lot of the people that like to talk about Spielberg, they don't they will talk about his influential movies being the more kid type movies, not necessarily the ones with a message. Ready Player One actually does have a message, even though it's a kid type movie in many respects. And it's regarding reality and virtual reality, and the need of getting out in the sun every once in a while. Just for starters. What I am seeing though is so many people on Twitter, including with the blue check marks, directors like Ava DuVernay among others, they're going up against Spielberg. They've been wanting to do this for a long time, and now with an important person in the life of Spielberg, at least to get him to MCA, Universal, Comcast, Sidney Sheinberg having passed away yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? It seems like a lot of his protection is gone, or is going. Now, I know you may be saying to me, well, if you're joining me from, the new black media or what have you, and hello, thanks for the influence. A lot of you people may be saying, well, Spielberg is a Jewish man. He has issues with people like Michael Jackson and what have you. Guys, yeah, I know. But for 2 years, I've always said to people, look, if they go after Harvey, after going after Harvey Weinstein, they would begin it with Weinstein, but would end this entire Me Too stuff and what have you with Spielberg. Why? I don't know. I mean, I know, but over what? The Q movement would like to tell you, well he did something to Heather O'Rourke, or he did something to Judith Barzey, two people that died 31 years ago under very tragic circumstances. That was really more family related in both cases. Spielberg had nothing to do with their deaths. Hollywood had nothing to do with their deaths. That's just a couple examples. They want to have it, but what has caught my interest more so is, first off, there's a meeting that the Academy of Motion Structural Sciences is going to have in next month regarding this voting stuff for what to do with the Netflix situation. That Spielberg is part of the board of governors. From what I can tell, since his time as being part of the board of governors, he's made some ideas that a lot of people within the realm of the Academy are okay with, but they're not entirely too pleased with. I was hearing, for instance, that in the wake of the Me Too Times Up stuff, they wanted to strip Roman Polanski of his membership at the same time as Dr. Cosby. I was hearing a rumor saying that Spielberg was adamantly against doing anything with Polanski. I don't know about Cosby. As I said, Cosby never got an Oscar nomination, or no, much less a win. But they felt that since they did it to Harvey Weinstein, they had to do it to someone else with Roman Polanski. The rumor was that Steven Spielberg was totally against the idea of booting Roman Polanski out of the Academy. They may be trying to have a way of booting Spielberg out of the Academy himself. And the only way you really get out of the Academy, whatever, is if you get yourself accused of sexual misconduct nowadays. Now, why would they do it to him? Why would they? Well, look. The worst thing to occur in terms of in the 2 years since, all these sexual misconduct things occurred, the worst thing to happen, the worst thing to occur in which shouldn't have occurred, was in the political realm. It wasn't in the Hollywood realm, it was the political realm. And that was when everyone was targeting Senator Al Franken. This is someone that should be running for president right now. Instead, he's not. Instead, he's exiled, forced to resign. Now, granted, his successor, Senator Tina Smith, is a very capable senator. And I understand it was a way for a lot of Democrats to say, well, we got to show we're in the upper hand of the party because we don't want to have Roy Moore elected to the Senate from Alabama. The ploy, I suppose, worked. Senator Doug Jones did get himself elected. But right now, he looks like Senator Jones is in danger of getting defeated to another Republican, like Mo Brooks, I guess, of some sort, in Alabama. That's not good. And sadly, we went from a 51-40 49 Republican majority, where we were this close to getting a majority, to now a 52-47 Republican majority, in which we're not even close right now. Well, 2 days before Senator Franken resigned, at the there was Congressman John Conyers was forced to resign. Conyers was, oh my goodness, he was an African American from Michigan. He's now 90, I think. He had been in Congress 53 years. By that point, he was already the Dean of the House. And he had been chairman of the Judiciary Committee. He's also one of the founding members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Conyers was also someone that was really after Donald Trump, really after the Democrats, the Republicans. Same with Al Franken. He was really going after the Republicans and Donald Trump. Well, sadly, all the accusations of Franken and Conyers came around the same time, and people were saying, "Well, Conyers needs to go. Conyers needs to go." And when they told him to leave, basically, they kicked him out. He said, "I'm retiring today, December 5th, 2017, without much of a goodbye." He didn't even give him the common courtesy about that. Well, you can imagine that they couldn't just let Conyers be the fall guy, be the one accused of sexual misconduct among Democrats to be the only one that gets down. Something else had to give. And that something was Senator Al Franken being forced to resign. And subsequently, among Republicans, Congressman Trent Franks resigning. Also sexual misconduct. But again, I think Trent Franks probably resigned because he wasn't for Donald Trump. A lot of the people that resigned in the last couple of years, they're not that wanted to leave Congress, that got defeated, they wanted out. They didn't want to stay with this Trump matter. Anyway, the impact of getting Conyers to resign, despite the fact of what he was able to do for all of us, precipitated the idea of, okay, well, you did something to a black man, you gotta have to do something to a white man, and if he's Jewish, we can't help you with that. And that's what they do to Senator Al Franken. Now, I'm seeing this type of things going on in the current situation regarding the, well, let's kill Michael Jackson again situation that's going on. Okay, because between Jackson and Spielberg had a bit of a connection. They had a falling out. Jackson and David Geffen had also had a falling out. There were some issues. I'm not going to go into them right now. Suffice to say, I had to deal with business. Anyway, but he never said anything really necessarily bad about the both of them, at least not publicly. That would be Michael Jackson. Now, just recently, not too long ago, one of the white people that was being told, like, well, white celebrities that got a lot of attention because he was friends with Michael Jackson, a guy named Corey Feldman. Up until recently, he was someone that said, look, Michael Jackson never did anything to me. Steven Spielberg never did anything to me. Well, just a couple of days ago, after leaving Neverland, Corey Feldman was on HLN trying to reconsider his words, saying, "Well, he never did anything to me, but I can't really defend the guy after doing after what he did to those two guys." What? He didn't do anything to those two guys. He did nothing to Wade Robson. He did nothing to Jimmy Safechuck. Their testimonies contradicting. And their statements and their past things contradict a lot of crap. And even if it did happen, why is that important? What makes it any worse than a parent from the backwoods doing this stuff to a kid that really would like to kind of, be famous, a star on the screen, and is being told, quit your daydream, blah blah blah, just God's order. I mean, no disrespect. I'm just saying. What's worse, that or a guy basically saying, I feel there's no problem with doing that. I wouldn't do any of this, of course. But again, I don't have to tell you I wouldn't do any of this thing. You know it already. I'm not. This is how it is. But here's the thing. For a long time, a lot of people wanted Corey Feldman, wanted Macaulay Culkin, among others, the child stars, among others, of the 80s and 90s, to say Michael Jackson did things to us. And then, after that, they wanted to say have them say Steven Spielberg did things to us. They feel now that it might happen. There are people in the Q movement that are looking at Culkin's recent tweets of some sort, and they're thinking to themselves, is he eventually going to say "Make America Great Again" or that phrase "white squall," where we have gone one, we have gone all, whatever claptrap that is. Okay, in this matter of doing things of bringing up Michael Jackson stuff, bringing up R. Kelly stuff, bringing up Bill Cosby, among other matters, mainly at the least to kind of draw away, Harvey Weinstein, which, it's bad. I get it. Or even worse matters of Dan Schneider. If you don't know who Dan Schneider is, if you're watching any of those Nickelodeon shows from the 2000s and 2010s, chances are he had involvement of it, and chances also are that those stars of those shows had bad experiences with Dan Schneider, men and women. Now, that's for another time. They feel now that they've gotten Corey Feldman to flip on Michael Jackson. The next thing they want him and others to do, and they feel that they can do, these MAGA people, these Q people, now that Sid Sheinberg's dead, among other things, and now that the Twitter world hates Steven Spielberg, they basically consider him an old man. The old man yells at a cloud. All this other stuff. Oh, get with the times. Netflix rules. You drool. Whatever. They feel now's the time to reciprocate and have it be evening out of the field. You've done this so much too. So many African Americans. Now we got to do it. Now we got to go after a white guy who also probably who didn't do who also didn't do shit to anybody. But they figure, we got to do a white guy, and if he's also Jewish, which is often the case in Hollywood, this is what you got to do. So they're putting the screws on this matter, on getting Steven Spielberg. And the problem is this: if they do that, there's gonna be a lot of damage, man. I I, I can't even tell you what it would mean. I mean, one guy from some sort of a blind entry website said something like, if Spielberg was ever found to do something, he probably wouldn't be able to live with himself or something like that. Anyway, the guys are, like Crazy Days and Nights. If you read them, they're all Trump supporters. They're all cute people. They're all, and many of the stuff that they talk about is so bull. But they want to have a they want to have these sorts of issues now be put it to the put it to the forefront. And what happens if that does occur? I mean, we've seen the microcosm of it in the political realm. In the House of Representatives, yes, the Democrats have won the majority in the House of Representatives. I hope they can keep it longer than for more than another year. Because right now, with the infighting or what have you, and depending upon how the presidential election goes, who gets the Democratic nomination, it doesn't look too good. The infighting is going to be what becomes a problem. The Senate, I guarantee you, if Franken was still in the Senate, we would have had a Democratic majority in the Senate. Maybe we don't. In fact, we lost seats. We may have also overplayed our hand on Brett Kavanaugh. Probably needed to do that, but was it the time to do it? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that he's an asshole, but that's for another time. So, why now this thing to get rid of, you know, a lot of important celebrities and among others that they want to get rid of? I mean, who will benefit from this? Jeez, you guys know who benefits from this. It's not the women's movement. It's not us Democrats or what have you. Jeez. It's the Republicans. Have been wanting they and many others have been wanting to get rid of important, influential people in the creative arts that could say, "Hey, look, we're not like Donald Trump. We're not like these Republicans. We need to evolve. Here's some interesting matters and tools and things and visual upkeep to look into." You could. I firmly believe in the idea that the creative arts and the performing arts can be the catalyst to change people's minds or to have people evolve. Because once it gets relatable with the creative mindset and the stimuli and the music and the sounds and what have you and the emotions, that's kind of what remains. I also firmly believe that a movie, is a really good way to, or a TV show, or whatever, is a good way to do that. I mean, Roger Ebert said something similar to that before he died. Now, when you take the creative process of importance out of it, what are you left with? You're left with cookie cutter superhero movies. Thankfully, yes, Captain Marvel was pretty good. Not all of them were. And when you lose the creativity, you lose the people's ability to think, to create, and to actually ask questions, demand answers, and observe. If they can't do that, what is what's left. And as I said before, they are using what's going on with Michael Jackson's thing and the eventual reciprocation of another white guy to get sexually accused of sexual misconduct or something like that, which is false, but they're gonna try to erase the guy anyway, and it's likely gonna be. I think they want to go after Spielberg, in my opinion. I think they do want to go after Steven Spielberg. I don't want it to happen, but that's what they want to do. You may get rid of something of that, but in the process, you lose a lot more. I'm reminded 25 years ago of when there was the issues regarding the crime bill, the 1994 crime bill. President Clinton was supporting then Senator Joe Biden helped legislate. I know that a lot of African Americans that were part of the Congressional Black Caucus were not really too pleased with parts of the crime bill because you know it was the time in which the phrase super predators or what have you, and there were numerous different amendments that would have been brought forth by Republicans to water it down, at least in the House. I remember specifically an important vote that took place in August of 1994. This is in the House of Representatives, who at the time was at 40 years straight of Democrat run majority, was a vote for a rule to have the debate go to the House floor, meaning more amendments, more time to talk about the bill. It was voted down because enough Democrats, from the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as Southern Democrats and conservative Democrats, went with the rest of the Republicans, or most of the rest of the Republicans, to go against the rule for the debate. Now, the crime bill passed, as we all know. But that matter in the crime bill and some of the situations of it, President Bill Clinton would later say, even in a speech which I attended in 2005 at Hofstra University, I was a student there. He said, "Yeah, that more than anything, more than the Health Security Act, what have you, that caused the Senate and the House majority of governorships to go Republican majority. They kind of worked the way to get things better afterwards, which he was able to do quite considerably, as you might know. I'll talk about that at a later time. But that is what. But the thing, what I'm getting at is, you can't. The African American community, the new black media, what have you, they are right in going after the likes of people, the white people that actually did this stuff. There's a hashtag, First Dem. I agree with it. I must also say, while I agree with it, we have to understand that that there will be consequences. And probably it may be needed, but it's not going to all benefit us. We're going to have to at least try to evolve with understanding about how we deal with sex, how we deal with relationships. If let me put it this way: if the phrase love is to be true, then we must understand what love is to many people. Love can mean different things to different people, man. I know what it means to me. I'm attracted to women. You know that. But not everybody's attracted. But not every man is attracted to a woman. Not every woman is attracted to a man. Not every person is attracted to someone their age. We're gonna have to have an honest conversation at some point. Maybe with the Democratic presidential debates of some sort. Maybe once, I don't know, if Biden comes in or something, or Clinton comes in, hopefully. At a certain point, we as a nation, as a people, are going to have an honest conversation about sex, about how we deal with relationships, about what is a relationship. Because I really don't think we've ever really had a conversation about that. We've tried to, but I don't think we've ever really done it. At a certain point, it will need to be done. Now, I'm just hoping that what is going on, I mean, doesn't distract us from. What is going on is distracting us from what we need to talk about. As a nation, we need to talk about matters that the Justice Democrats and the New Democratic Socialists have been talking about. Not everything I agree with, but matters, regarding universal health care, and into wars, things like that. But we're not talking about that, right? At least the Republicans don't want us to talk about that. On the world stage, everybody needs to be focusing on getting rid of this leaving of Britain leaving the UK. I'm familiar with a guy. I'm familiar with the phrase. Just going on the tangent with this. I agree with a phrase that a poster on the Guardian usually says. Or was it in the Independent? The best Brexit of all is no Brexit at all. He just cancel Article 50 and just stay in the EU. Because if there's no deal and it's falling off a cliff by March 29, it's going to affect everyone. It's not just going to affect the UK. It's not going to just affect Europe. It's going to affect every country. And that's something I want to talk about another time, because that is the biggest, most important issue outside of climate. That really concerns me at this point. But if we talk and make the knowledge about, well, you did this thing to her, what have you, and about sex and about retribution in that matter, where are we going to go with this? You're just going to get more people saying, well, we're deplorable, whatever. Anyway, we're going to vote for Donald Trump. We're going to join the Republican Party. We're not going to be able to evolve until we evolve in our own minds. And I thought we did that. I really thought years ago, 2010, many years ago, I really thought we did that. I really thought after so many years, we had evolved. I really thought we were at a point where we were like, okay, your politician has a sex scandal. So be it. You don't need to resign. You're doing good with us. Fine. I'm not gonna let you go. The same thing with celebrities or what have you. But unfortunately, victimhood culture doesn't translate well to reality of the situation at hand. And it needs to. Otherwise, it's going to be bad for all of us. What I know is that I cannot live my life having been, we're all victimized. And I can either wallow in a pool of my own sorrow and wither away, or I can take that abuse that I had, reverse the abuse, and, well, I'll never forget what happened. Oh, by the way, if you want to know, when I say abuse, nothing occurred with me and people that I know that are family or friends. Nothing occurred. Okay, my family is terrific. All right, I love them. Nothing happened. Nothing occurred. Don't take things the wrong way. Okay, I'm fine. I'm saying, like abuse of, getting called a bad name when I was a school kid. The bullying, whatever. It wasn't even much bullying. It was teasing, and for a man like me that didn't realize I had Asperger's syndrome, it felt a little more. more hurtful. I mean, but whatever. I'll talk about that later. I could eat a wall in my own mud, or I can live, never forgetting what happened, but moving forward. We all need to move forward. And the woke culture, the SJW culture, and this Me Too stuff, this Time's Up stuff. If they're not careful with all this, there's gonna come a day in which I thought. Actually, what's amazing? I thought when XXX Tentacion died last year, I thought, or Stan Lee died last year, I thought there would have been the reckoning of like, okay, we've gone too far. Obviously not. You could be dead for 10 years like Michael Jackson, and then you'd be Me Too'd again. Is it going to take a more celebrity like a Spielberg or something, or like Steven Spielberg or something like that, for people to say, wait a minute, this is enough? Because you don't want situations to go so out of control. You want to have it be like a situation in South Korea last year in which there were a couple of a few important prominent men and women in political and entertainment fields that were accused of sexual assault, and one of them or two of them at least killed themselves. To such extent that the government of South Korea and other people kind of went, what they say, MGTOW, men going their own way and not really having women talk with men at the workplace. A situation which is a lot, where the reaction is a lot worse. Matters which kind of remind me of the town of Beaumont in Footloose. By the way, go watch that movie. The musical is okay. Trust me, I did the division of musical myself. But go watch that movie. It's not the greatest thing, but you understand the certain nuances of it. We don't want to have it be that we try to think we're evolving and then we're just regressing. And I think that's what's happening right now. It shouldn't happen this way. I hope we can evolve around this. Well, I've seemed to have gone over 90 minutes. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I'm gonna get enough views or what have you, but hey, I'll probably edit it sometime soon enough. If you watch this the entire way through, um, congratulations. I can't give you anything right now. I'm gonna try to do this a little better next time, guys. So, you all have a good night. Now, just trying to turn this camera off. Let's see what we got here. Okay, hang on. Just trying to get the camera out. Hang on. Hang on, everybody. Hang on.